Hey guys, welcome to the Powerful Man Show, where we help married businessmen save their marriages without having to talk about it, get unstuck, and gain clarity in their lives. As I like to say, life is too short for average. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Now let's get this started. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about what happens when her mother gets involved. So, Tim, let me set the scenario because this has come up a lot. The advisors actually posted this and said, hey, could you guys do a podcast on this? Because we're getting so many guys calling up who are saying, look, my mother-in-law is filling my wife's head with notions of divorce and separation. So, Tim, what would you do in this situation?
Oof. Wow. First of all, I would be drawing a very clear boundary around this. And I'd be drawing it fast, and I'd be doing my best to draw it very calmly as well. I might go something along the lines of, "This is our marriage. This is our relationship. There is not a third person in this relationship. There are two people in it. Therefore, the two people in it get to decide the direction that this relationship will take. Is that something that you can agree to?" And when she says yes, then I'd pave the way. As for the mother, depending on what she was saying, um, I probably wouldn't have any interest in being in any kind of relationship with her. I would be civil, and if it was important to my partner that she have a relationship with a mother, then I would support that and I would encourage that, and I'd be interested. I wouldn't like completely cut that part out. However, I'd be very clear that I'd be open to an apology. That's for sure, providing it didn't continue happening. I'd be open to an apology. Um, but if there wasn't an apology forthcoming, and I just make it very clear that that isn't a situation I'm going to tolerate, and therefore, if she expects to come to our house at Christmas, for example, then I would like to have an apology or at least an explanation from her as to why she feels like it's okay to do this before we allow her into our home. Um, and I'd also want to talk to my partner too. It's like, what is going on this is what I've been thinking. I wouldn't say this, but what is going on in the relationship that makes her want to run to her mother instead of being able to confide in me?
Bingo.
Like, yeah, what am I doing to create that and push her in that direction?
Well, that's 100% what it is for me. So when I hear this comment come from men, the first thing I want to do is shake the shit out of them and be like, man, dude, you had stopped leading. So she needed to go find a leader, someone to lead her because she's lost, right? Right. If she's asking her mom and taking on that advice or that input, then she's lost. She's confused. And therefore, if you haven't stepped up and been the lighthouse for so long, that she needs to find somebody. So let me go over real quick, Tim, the lighthouse analogy, right? So imagine, if you will, a ship out to sea and a big storm comes in, right? The waves are going over the ship. The storm is getting worse and worse. That ship has to find a safe harbor. But in the shore, it's a rocky cliff. There's rocks everywhere and what have you. And that captain sees a lighthouse in the distance and goes, oh, thank goodness. We're going to drown if we don't get to shore. So the captain sets sail towards that lighthouse, but the lighthouse goes out. Now the captain goes, oh crap, right? I can't see. I don't know where the rocks are. So the captain is forced to go back out into the rough waters. Then the lighthouse comes back on. The captain goes, oh, thank goodness. Maybe that was a temporary issue. The captain then steers back towards the lighthouse now that they can see. Boom, lighthouse goes out again. Same situation. The captain goes, I can't trust this lighthouse to direct me through safe harbor. So they need to go back out to sea and sail down, even though it's a storm, even though they might drown and die, to find another lighthouse. And what's happening, men, is in this scenario, you are being the lighthouse that keeps going out. I was there too, so I get it. But what's happening is you're dimming your light when you react. when you get upset and angry, when you react at her emotions, when you don't lead your family, you become analogous to this lighthouse. Now, guess what? Your wife's the captain on this boat that's going through this turmoil. This turmoil is probably your marriage. And she's looking for you to be the lighthouse that doesn't turn off. When she shit tests you, when she comes at you, when your mother in law comes at you, are you strong and stable? Or do you react and turn off? So when you react, it's just like that lighthouse turning off its light. Now, Doug or Tim, how good is a lighthouse that is unpredictable? That light goes on and off at a whim. You can't tell when it's going to be on, when it's going to be off. You can no longer trust that lighthouse. Therefore, that lighthouse is essentially worthless. It's worthless. So your wife, in this analogy, needs to sail down and find safe harbor somewhere where somebody is going to be consistent and stable to protect her. In this case, in the scenario we're talking about, it's the mother-in-law, her mother. In some scenarios, for some guys, it's another man. Right now, in this case, it's her mother. And the reason being is you have not been a stable lighthouse. It's a shitty pill to swallow. I'm sorry. I was in this situation though, because I didn't know any better. Right. And this is what we call a deactivated man. This is exactly why we have the activation method, which is our primary program for men. And you go into DEAR mode. And DEAR is an acronym for defend, excuse, explain, react. And that's what a lot of us do, right? Our mother-in-law pokes us. Our wife says something that our mother-in-law says, like, oh, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she said you're working too much. And, I really shouldn't be putting up with that. And as a guy, instead of just being calm, we react. What do you mean? Well, I'm working so much because I have to pay the bills and the kids are going to school and we need to do this, we need to do that. That is analogous again to that lighthouse dimming its light or going out. She cannot trust that you're secure. Therefore, she has to go to her mom to get that. And that's when this is happening, guys. This is not happening because you're being the leader in your family. This is not happening because you're being the lighthouse. This is happening because you're not leading and you're going into DEAR mode. Again, this is what society teaches most of us men to do, to be the nice guy, so to speak. And we're the nice guy until we erupt. And that becomes a problem. Now, the alternative to this is being the wolf, which is wise, open, loving, and fierce. See, the wolf, like the logo, and Tim, you talk about this really well. If you look at the Powerful Man logo, which is right behind Tim, if you guys are watching this on YouTube or Facebook or wherever else this is being shown, the wolf has a rose in its mouth, right? That's the loving part. The wolf can be loving. But if you mess with a wolf's family, it's going to be fierce. It is going to protect its own. And the alpha wolf leads always, not sometimes, not when it's convenient. They always are leading, right? And by leading, that it still means they get to be playful, still means they get to be loving, right? But they have the wisdom, they have the ferocity that they can be fierce and they can protect when needed. It's the consistency that's the problem for most men. And we've been told just to be the nice guy and, keep our mouth quiet and what have you. And then when we do get attacked or accused, we react again, going into DEAR mode. And this is where your wife is being led astray by your mother-in-law, I should say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm also thinking about a scenario from one of the men who is very near and dear to us. He is in the inner circle. I think that'll narrow it down enough for you. You're nodding your head, so I guess you know who I mean.
I think
Listens to
so.
this podcast, and there's a situation there, right, where his wife's mother is stepping in. And by all accounts, and from what I see, he's working really hard at being a lighthouse, and for the most part, he's being it, right. He's shining bright, and he's doing his alpha rise and shine, and so on. And this is a slight nuance to this topic, right? But I think it's a good one to just throw in there because, like I said, he listens to it. It means a lot to us. So, what advice would you give in that slight nuance to this situation?
I think there's too many complexities to this man's story and what's
Okay.
going on that I don't think it's applicable to this conversation. Only because we'd
Okay.
have to hash out everything that's going on for him. And we're coaching him individually right now. so that he can
Okay.
navigate these waters. But what I would tell him is just remember, when you are filling your cup, and this is for all you guys listening, when you're filling your cup, doing things for yourself, it's kind of like the airplane, right? I was just on an airplane with my kids. What do they tell you every airplane ride, guys? You guys have all been on an airplane. In the event of an emergency, oxygen mask may fall from the ceiling. Now, do they say put your oxygen mask on everybody else before yourself? No. Put your oxygen mask on yourself first, then help others. Now, the reason they say that is because if you don't put yours on first, you could pass out before you can help other people, rendering
Mhm.
you useless. However, if you fill your oxygen first, you're now safe. You can help a lot of people. It's the same in your
Mhm.
personal life, right? When you put the oxygen mask on you first, you can help your wife, you can help the people around you. But when you run around trying to put everybody's oxygen mask on them first, which is what I used to do, right? Then eventually you run out of oxygen, you deplete, you fall down, you look up and you're like, wait a minute, where's somebody helping me? And then guys snap. They just do. It's just because you've been over backwards so much for so many people. You've made so many concessions for so many people that eventually that's you just taking as much as you can. And that's all you can do. And this guy
Mhm.
does this all the time, right? He's
Yeah.
such a great guy. He's always helping other people, right? And if his mother-in-law is getting involved, right, he gets to lead by example. And for some people,
Mhm.
look, for some people, your wife may just not be a good person, right? Your mother-in-law just may not be a good person. That's the truth, right? But for this conversation and topic, for what's happening for most men is they've lost their
Mhm.
way. They become the lighthouse that turns on and turns off when it's convenient. They become the leader in their family when it's convenient. They become their wife's true north when she's in a good mood, when it works, when it gets a blowjob or whatever else it is, but not during the storms, right? When they're fighting, when they're arguing, and she comes at him, is he still being loving? Probably not, right? I know I wasn't. I would react. I would defend what I was doing because what I was doing was right and honorable. I was being a good guy. I would excuse and what I was doing. I was working a lot. My wife would complain about it, but I was working so we could buy a new house. We were a young couple and I was working more and I would start doing it. And I would react. I'd get angry because how much I sacrificed for her. Did she even know that while she was going out for happy hour, I was learning to code so I could build this other business I had? And so I get pissed is because I wasn't putting the oxygen mask on me first.
Mm. Yeah. Very true. Very well said.
So
I'll
guys, if you
expand.
find yourself in this situation, if
um.
I want you to go back and guys, if you find yourself in this situation, I want you to go back and listen to the story about the ship at sea because that's what's happening right now.
Mm.
And your mother-in-law is becoming the lighthouse that's in the distance that your wife knows will
Mhm.
be there each and every time in a loving way, right? Even if your wife's like, oh, my mom is this, that, and the other. She knows her mom's being consistent. She knows she can count on her mom to show up the same way every time, even if she
Yeah.
bitches about her mom, right? There's consistency, right? The
Yeah.
lighthouse shines all the time. And I'll tell you what, man, this is the same scenario where women have affairs. It's the same
Yep.
exact scenario. Your wife is just turning to her mom versus another man, or she's turning to both. And what's happening is her mom is saying, you need to separate, you need a divorce. Good chance her mom is also saying, I have this guy at my office, or there's a guy at my church, or there's somebody else that would be a better man for you. And all you have to do is take back that leadership. You need to go from deactivated to activated. The activation method, I think, obviously is the best. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it. We'd be working on something else. It's a great way to do it. You can see thousands testimonials from thousands of men just like you that have gone through that program and it's worked for them. But you need, as that song says, it's time to take the power back. That Rage Against the Machine song,
Mm.
right? This is time for you to do it, and don't do it as a jerk. Do it as a loving, centered man, and that's what we call a powerful man.
Yeah. I'm not going to expand because I think you just nailed it.
Yeah, I'm fired up right now because I'm thinking about this guy and how much I love him, and I want the best for him, and I want the best for you guys too. And as I always say, man, I'm in your corner. But it's up for you to do it. You got to throw the punches. You got to fight for yourself. But when you're ready to fight for yourself, and I'll speak for Tim and the rest of the coaches, we're in your corner. We're here to help, and we want to help, and we want the best for you because we've been on your side, but we've been on the other side, and it's a lot friggin' better on the other side. I can tell you that. Gentlemen, have an amazing week. And as we always say in the moment of insight, take massive action. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. But as I always say, in the moment of insight, take massive action. You see, there are two types of men that listen to a podcast like this. Those that go on from one podcast or show to another, just hoping things are going to change and realizing that they're going to be in the same place month after month, year after year. You see, I was this guy, so I completely get it. You may just not be ready. But there's also a second man that listens to a show just like this. And this is a guy who takes massive action so they can shorten the learning curve, compress time, and get results to be the wolf. See, wolf is an acronym for wise, open, loving, and fierce. Now, ask yourself, which one am I? And just be honest with yourself there. And there's no judgment on my end, but if you're ready to move from deactivated deer mode, which is defend, excuse, explain, react, to activated wolf, wise, open, loving, and fierce, then go over to thepowerfulman.com/grow and go there now. In fact, I'll make it super easy for you. I will even put the link right in the description here so you can just click it and go over there now to learn more. Guys, in the moment of insight, take massive action. Go from deactivated to activated because like I said, life is too short for average. And I'll see you on the next episode.